Bum 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 bum
Drama.
bum. Ba-ba-da-ba-dun,
Action.
dun-dun, dun, 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 ba-dum, bam, bam,
Comedy.
ba-dum, tss, bum, ba-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun,
Palace intrigue.
dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Clash of the pencils.
Wow, it is a mild fall night here in Milford, Delaware. We have a great slate of story matchups for you tonight. Welcome back to the Clash of the Pencils nightly live stream, the most watched creative writing esport league live stream in the history of the internet. I am your host, Tom Sherman. We're here as we are every weeknight to review the top 3 short story submissions from around the net, get the latest scores, see who's atop the leaderboard, and of course, review the top 5 sentences of the night. Every day we field anywhere from zeros to tens of submissions, which then get run through a high-tech data science algorithm known as Storybot 3000, which uses, among other things, piles of gravel to analyze every story. We then take Storybot's top 3 picks and let you, the public, vote on them to determine tonight's winner. Alongside me today, we've got Greg, the old peg leg Peterson. How you doing there, old peg leg?
Isn't it obvious? Erica asked. It's time to hack the mainframe. Hey,
Wow.
Tom.
Wow, that sounds
Catching up on a little reading.
intense
How are
reading.
you?
Yeah. Hopefully, that's just fiction and not nonfiction. Am I right?
I don't know. Middle grade, anything's possible, Tom. Anything's
That's
possible.
fair. That's fair. Before we get underway, let's remind the folks what everyone's playing for tonight, besides obviously fame and glory. And that's one of these, an exclusive IOU NFT. This unique 1 out of 10,000 NFT is actually an IOU for a future NFT from an upcoming 10,000 drop from Story Squad. And although the current estimated cash value of the IOU NFT is $100, that's not the full value of NFTs. Think of NFTs like keys to the future. Right now, as humans, we interact with businesses and organizations much like ants might their queen, slaving away day in and day out for resources to give to the queen so that she may survive. NFTs turn this one-directional relationship into a community partnership. Owning NFTs of organizations will allow those owners special perks like early access to future products, exclusive content behind paywalls, and access to the inner community. Not only that, but NFTs are transferable, allowing owners to sell at a premium, which in turn appreciate all other NFTs held by community members. So NFTs are part art, part online identity, part admission to a virtual country club, part crypto speculation, part generational wealth, and all real, baby.
Wow.
You know, I know we say this almost every night, but you want one of those IOU NFTs.
I do want one of those actual NFTs. Not to trade in, but to hoard for the rest of my life.
Oh, I wasn't actually talking about you specifically. I was
No, I
talking
actually
about
want
the
it.
audience. But yeah.
It started to go to work on me through repetition and the slogans, and I just now really, really want that NFT. I talked to kind of an NFT visionary today, Tom. You know what he told me? You hit a phrase. The NFT isn't on you; it's in you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Think about that. Let that marinate in the old noodle. Well, good to know the advertising is working on somebody, if even if it's just us.
Slogans work.
But anyways, we don't need to spend all night talking about NFTs. We're here to talk about short stories, and specifically those written by our current authors on the leaderboard and in the top 3 of the night. So taking a current look, Slice out here with a 50-point lead over Howard Stern. Meanwhile, Green 18 has 305 points, about 100 points back. Howard Stern, Bot, and Champion kind of in the lower realms here, not really too close here at 269, 259 apiece. Joanna Man, Repeat, Uncle Screwtape, Dragon Attack. They're all rounding out the bottom of the leaderboard here, top 10. So that's our current picture, and this is what the authors had to write on today. An evil wizard controls the weather. Discuss.
Wow.
So interesting.
I
stuff
almost wanted to write one. I loved this prompt.
You didn't have time yesterday to discuss it, and then you said, you still wanted to discuss it. I could tell you were excited about this prompt.
Evil wizard controls the weather. I mean,
and so where are you hoping the authors take this tonight?
Well, I'm wondering, to what degree is global warming really caused by an evil wizard, and to what degree is it just like the whole system not really pricing in a lot of this? Like, is there an actual like Wizard of Oz here behind the curtain who's pulling the strings of this weather? Because I think all of us are afraid of like this runaway weather, and kind of through implication global warming.
Interesting. So at the very least, we do have a character that everybody's going to be working with, and that's an evil wizard. Plot device is the control of the weather, but where, when, how, why, setting, all that other stuff is just really up for grabs here. So
one more thing. I love how the prompt has an evil wizard. A wizard controls the weather. Discuss. I'm not that interested, frankly.
Right.
It's the fact that we're given an evil wizard, I think, is going to lead to some really great stories.
Interesting. And so let's see. I think what we're going to do here is we're going to work from the bottom up, and start with a newcomer to the podium this week. The Doctor is in.
And that's why I became an evil wizard and how I started controlling the weather, Chauncey said, unable to make eye contact with Dr. Phil, tears welling up. Well, now, let's discuss that, Dr. Phil said, with his drawl eclipsing the shining bald spot lit up by studio lights. It seems like you feel like you're evil, but you don't have to be. You have the chance to act good or evil, no one else, not your haters, friends, or parents. Chauncey began to sob, and Dr. Phil welcomed him into a big bear hug. Chauncey's sob grew into a cackle as the life force drained from Dr. Phil's eyes, skin crumpling before imploding into dust. Chauncey looked into the studio camera and said with a sing-songy drawl, "Well, now I'm unstoppable, folks. I can finally win Clash of the Pencils."
So an evil wizard named Chauncey bears his soul to Dr. Phil, and brought to tears by Dr. Phil's discussion of why and how Chauncey controls the weather. However, it seems like it was all a ruse, and controlling the weather possibly a gambit just to get close enough to Dr. Phil to steal his life force, which with his new drawl, Chauncey will undoubtedly be able to win Clash of the Pencils.
Yeah, I have here written down like control. This was about Dr. Phil trying to get control in the first half of the conversation, of the very mediated conversation that was being like taped. And then we get the cackle and the reversal at the bear hug, the moment of contact. So it brings into question whether or not Chauncey was bearing his soul at all, or whether this was kind of an elaborate Kaiser Soze game of, wolf in sheep's clothing. I wish there was more weather.
Yeah, this did not discuss the weather too much. It kind of used it as like a way into the story, but not really as a part of it.
Yeah, and I also thought the last line, I was actually reading this with another person who's in 4th grade, and that person was like, "Oh, they said they want to run Clash of the Pencils. I'm going to vote for them 3rd, so they don't." So
the evil plan backfired.
Yeah,
wow.
it seems like the transparency around the intention just to win It didn't work. It didn't work for that voter, at least. And I felt like the breaking the fourth wall to call out what the contest name is, it wasn't fresh in a way that it we've seen a lot of that, a lot of meta kind of commentary that comes up in interesting pops. This kind of felt like tacked on at the end.
Kind of seemed like they didn't really know what to write. You know what I mean? They didn't have a good line, so they were like, whatever. I'll
I want to upload this and see if I can get those points. So,
right. I mean, it could have been coming down to the wire on a timing issue. Who knows? Who knows?
For characters, I did like the draw. I liked the fact that was really well done, and a lot of the reversal was done in dialogue. So I'll give that. That seemed pretty strong. The setting just seemed like a television studio.
Even then, it wasn't very well described. It was Chauncey, Dr. Phil, and like lights and a camera. There wasn't a set features. There wasn't a crowd. You know what I mean? There were no details about the studio. It's very.
I can still see it though. I think we know it.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that you might not need to describe too much, but at the same time, those extra little details.
Yeah, a little pop, like the polyester texture on the set furniture or something.
Right. Yeah.
Plot. I mean, plot is a function of what the characters lack and want and then get. And so like, I don't know what the evil wizard lacked and wanted. Clearly there was the reversal. But I don't know what was driving the evil wizard.
It seemed like what was lacking, at least in my reading of it, was the character was lacking Dr. Phil's drawl. There was something about the drawl that had a lot of power.
Yeah.
And so like that was like kind of the humorous thing to me where it's like they go through all this stuff to control the weather, to get on Dr. Phil's, to get the drawl, to get the bear hug, just to win Clash of the Pencils. It was kind of like this elaborate scheme for like what, to win this to win this contest. Like, I don't know. That doesn't.
Yeah.
So, but it seemed like there was power in the draw because that got mentioned multiple times throughout the throughout it. So
it's almost like Dr. Phil, through his drawl, is controlling the emotional weather of all the interviewers he's got.
Right.
This guy wanted to get it back.
Interesting stuff there. Let's see if our next author can top that. And that's coming in from a perennial podium holder for this week, at least. And that is possibly Randall Cobb.
Possibly Randall Cobb. Where does he find the time?
Green 18. Mr. Whiskers stormed through the door of his weather lab as the setting sun dipped behind the mountaintop and darkness fell across the land. Hee. By this time tomorrow, the sun will answer to me, the evil wizard cackled. No longer will I have to endure monsoons when I long for blue skies, or blizzards when I have a hankering for balmy. Mr. Whiskers had been working for years on his advanced weather system, a series of robots which sent weather signals to all parts of the globe in order to control the weather pattern of the world. The system, better known as WeatherBot 3000, just came online in a whirlwind of pressure put on its developers by Mr. Whiskers. We need to finish ASAP, he stormed. The outlook was grim as the avalanche of work seemed never ending. Faster, thundered the evil Mr. Whiskers. I must be in control of the clouds and the sky, he screamed to his minions in a bluster. His workers were fed up with their mistreatment and cooked up a plan to destroy WeatherBot 3000 and send Mr. Whiskers into the permafrost. When the sun rose the next morning and Mr. Whiskers pushed the go button on WeatherBot 3000, a storm surge was programmed in, and a catastrophic lightning bolt hit the system, blew it into the stratosphere. Mr. Whiskers would never see the sun again. Oof. Mr. Whiskers, on the precipice of controlling the weather to stave off rain and cold days. However, overworking his minions backfires. They mutiny, program WeatherBot 3000 to blast into the stratosphere via a storm surge and lightning, and Mr. Whiskers does not see the sun again.
I thought that the dialogue here was really well done. and really peppered into some sort of comic cartoon kind of bad guy. And that the evil wizard felt really. I liked the characterization there. The cackle, the whoever read that did a great job with the cackle. I had questions on the mechanics of how the sun will end up answering to him, but like I feel like just like Weatherbot 3000 will sort of undo that. It's like a technology fantasy, and then like all good myths, when you get too close to messing with the natural world, the lightning bolt comes. Snatches from your best intentions, like everything that you thought seems so close, and yet you're a goner.
So here's my question to you though. Mr. Whiskers will not see the sun again. Does that mean there's two options as far as I can tell? Either this cataclysm that got programmed into Weatherbot 3000 destroyed the sun, and he's like in this eternal night world, or that was a very poetic way of saying it killed Mr. Whiskers. I'm
so conditioned or programmed as a story writer to think of poetic justice that I was thinking it was just a random act of nature, sort of a Old Testament angry god or a Greek, thunderbolt being hurled. But perhaps you're right, and perhaps I need to recalibrate my sense of an ending, because what if it is sort of just apocalyptic blackness and Storybot, or not Story? I'm sorry, Storybot.
Wow, that's
Weatherbot 3000. Actually delivered on the mission, but kind of got away from the creator, Frankenstein style.
Right. So I thought the setting was pretty strong. A lot of good imagery, descriptive, and also the use of weather, stormed, blustered, permafrosted, thundered, work. It was all just really good wordplay there. So much so that when the minions cooked up a plan that actually almost like stuck out as like I was like, oh, I wish there was a weather word that could have been substituted for cooking up a plan, summoned a tempest in a teacup or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a writer.
By the way, is Mr. Whiskers a cat?
According to Storybot 3000, I don't know. That's I'm not sure how Storybot comes up with the images that it projects, but obviously Mr. Whiskers strongly relating to a cat image.
Yeah, that's a pretty evil cat. I think that put a nice little twist on the comic. This felt like a very classical cartoon. It had a nice beginning, middle,
like
and
an
end.
Evil cat. I could totally see an evil cat only wanting to get sunny days and warm days so it can lay in sunbeams. You know what I mean? And doing this whole sort of evil thing. It works. If it wasn't the author's intention, maybe say it was. I don't know. Let's see. And then I think I think this was again. This is hallmark of Green 18 is just putting out a very well balanced story.
Right. The beginning, the opening line, it stormed through the door of his weather as the setting sun dipped below the mountaintops. So we get a setting right there, and then at the end, like he would never see the sun again. Like it pays it off. It pays it off. Very, very balanced.
Oh yeah, nice little bookend there for sure. And also I do want to mention, just because I don't know if you know this or not, but I am a solar system ambassador for NASA. No big deal.
No big deal. Subtle flex,
real.
Subtle.
Yeah.
Flex.
So I would be remiss if I didn't do a little weather analysis here, because they said Weatherbot 3000 got blasted into the stratosphere, and so if you Google where is weather atmosphere, that will lead you to the troposphere. Okay, that's where weather occurs as we know it. Here's a little diagram. The troposphere is in the bottom, and so the stratosphere is where like planes are flying above the clouds. So if you were to a safe place to blast a weather controlling bot would be out of the troposphere and into the stratosphere, you would assume. So not really, no plot holes there. Very strong sort of fundamentals, I believe, from Green 18 here.
Randall, we see you, Randall. We know you're watching the Weather Channel.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, the guy plays good football, but he also knows a little bit about weather. That's all I'm saying.
Clearly.
So interesting stuff there. And now that leaves us with our last story of the night, coming from, you know him, the back-to-back weekly winner. I mean, this guy's almost
Coming for a
unstoppable.
three-peat. He's on the
He
way to
might,
the three-peat.
on the verge of a three. This guy might be the Vince Lombardi of Clash of the Pencils.
Whoa there.
Yeah, hey, I don't make the rules. I just see trends.
Dagmar swigs a bottle of bismuth, sparing the dose cup. He'd been taking jolts periodically all night, evidenced from the hot pink dribble stains on his Black Wizard t-shirt. Coffee fell flat, but he chased the elixir with it every time anyways. His fingernails had been nubbed since October. He even chewed his toenails when he took bubble baths. The decision to hack Harp weighed heavier than his last physical, but he could no longer sit the public's adulation for Tempest Winsome any longer. Something he'd want the reader to understand is this revenge isn't about secret adoration, nor does he care that she mocked him for pitching Crow Week, or because she said he smelled like baloney. Which wasn't even baloney. It was cologne by Clone Stallone. $100 a bottle. No, it's about how comfortable meteorologists have gotten with their predictions. Juan Butler can't predict the breaking news. Sharon Yen can't foresee puff pieces. Rusty Randall in sports is no soothsayer. Braves in 6? Come on. But Tempest Winsome's insider trading in weather. She has a direct line to Washington. Los Gatos Gordas pull levers for the HARP system to seed the ionosphere, whipping juicy canes, sumptuous fires, or serving a mild Thanksgiving. Dagmar's ending it. He takes a final centering breath, glues his jaw, and strikes down the enter key with his index finger. He says to himself, I am the Wizard King. After the deed, he crawls into his loft, curled like a cooked shrimp, and watches Cowboy Bebop, the original, not the remake. He goes to work on Monday, cool as a kiwi, and into the control room as usual, and waits to pounce. Tempest takes to the green screen, beginning to explain to the audience the wild weather from the weekend. She says, we couldn't foresee the sudden cold front from Iowa. At that, Dagmar springs from his swivel, slamming his headset and into frame. Now who smells like baloney? He yelled, spittle in his mouth corners. Now who smells? Juan Butler rubs his forehead, as if he had seen this coming.
A disgruntled man hacks into a secret government weather control program to spite a local news meteorologist for their unfair foresight into weather events, not because of any adoration or remarks about his smells. Afterwards, at work the next day, revels in his glory as the weatherwoman is befuddled, to which Dagmar reveals the constructed ideological stance government hacking were all merely done to justify his real reason for holding a grudge, which was, in fact, the comment about smelling like baloney.
I was so delighted by this. This was like Philip K. Dick meets Lazarillo de Tormes, which is a 15.
I don't know what that means.
That
what does that mean?
Should I? All right,
I mean, let's pretend like there's people watching, right? Like,
should we double click? Should we double click?
Who gets that reference? So let's unpack it for the folks out there.
Lazarillo de Tormes is the first of a genre called the picaresque. It is literally has revenge through this kind of petty vengeance, especially around smell. All the lines are almost directly out of it. It's like this sort of apprentice going around starving Spain and Catholic, like 16th century Catholic Spain, like trying to get enough to eat. And like the master's like drawing his nose and to see if the boy's been stealing sausage, and he like gets revenge on him by like having him like jump into a post. He's like, how does it smell now? So like that's the Lazarillo de Tormes reference. The Philip K. Dick is the sort of off-screen menace of like governmental plots upon plots upon plots. Like there's always more that's going on. The machinations, the paranoia, the world building in terms of governmental control and systems just out of reach, which is kind of at the heart of a lot of his projects. So those are the intersections, and that was the first associations that came to my mind. I want to shout out the opening line. Can you reread it to me? The bottle of bismuth, at which he gulped from the bottle, not using the dosage cup. The wording on it.
Let me pull it up real quick.
It was one of my favorite opening lines I've ever heard.
Dagmar swigs a bottle of bismuth, sparing the dose cup.
That's fabulous. I'm there. I'm there. And then when he follows that up, so that gets you a real sensory description of a thick, hot Pepto-Bismol like going down your throat in this kind of chalky syrup. And then you get the hot pink dribble stains on the shirt. That is overwhelming my brain in sensory descriptions. I am so in the scene. I'm so into those details. Phenomenal. Dagmar as a character name intrigued me. Tempest Winsome for a weather situation. Loved that. The fact that there was some sort of a conspiracy about inside. I was also reminded of the plot of Curb Your Enthusiasm called The Weatherman, in which the weatherman predicts stormy weather so that the golf course is clear around Los Angeles. So then the weatherman can play 18 holes without having to wait.
Right.
So the weather, what's interesting about both of these is that the weather person controls a lot of how we're going to behave, and they never get held accountable, but yet they offer predictions. And so they're given all sorts of authority without ever really having to deliver on it, something that affects all of us. So it's a really interesting premise for where to set like a source of power and then taking revenge on that power. I would want to read a bigger book. The world is really real. What Slice is trying to do here is build a world in a big book. I also was interested in the shout out to the ionosphere, the precision of whatever sort of graduated layers of. Yeah, let's go.
Bring in. Yeah, we have to. The ionosphere starts above the stratosphere, and so it's the bottom range is in the mesosphere, and it goes all the way up through the thermosphere.
We've got some weather mavens here.
Yeah, so very strong, very strong. I mean, I would assume a government plot to control the weather would have to do something in the the grand scheme of the globe, which would be the ionosphere.
Yeah. I was also, the last thing that I was intrigued by was the fact that there's an insider trading and that Tempest Winsome was doing all of this, I don't know, chicanery in front of a green screen, which is inherently fake. I just thought that was a really interesting thing to point out. Slice is really, there's a lot of dynamism to this writing. I mean, it pops on the level of the words, of the lyricism, of the details, of the plots. And it's when it comes together, Slice is giving us one story a week. Pretty profound.
Also, working in Crow Week, so bonus points there for the technician getting laughed out of the room for pitching Crow Week to the news studio. Also, there was some nice alliterations worked in there, like hack the harp and weighed heavy in the wild weather weekend. Just some, again, like you said, tight story here from Slice, which is always good to see. So, but anyways, no one really cares about this because this is just me and you talking about whatever we just talked about for 20 minutes. And what the people really want to see is, they want to see what who wins, and we didn't vote, they voted. So really what I'm doing here is I'm just stalling because I need to click this update leaderboard button, which I just did. So now I can hit refresh over here. Yeah, tell me about it. And we'll just see where it lines up. And Slice taking the day with 190 points. Wow, really buffered in by that Crow Week reference, because Green 18 really got the votes from the people with 165.
Wow.
Although not making a Crow reference, so therefore losing 50 bonus points, or losing the potential to gain 50 bonus points. The Doctor coming in third. Champion in fourth. Looks like Champion might have gotten some bonus points for Crow Week reference as well. And then Repeat coming in fifth with 15 points. Voting, voting always, hey, it pays off. Let's take a look at the weekly scores. Slice now comfortably in the lead with 610 points. Green 18 with 470 in second. Howard Stern at 372. Champion in fourth, 359. And I mean, it's going to be tough. Going to be tough for anybody to really catch Slice tomorrow. You would think.
What? Speaking of tomorrow, what is that? Is it time to do the vote?
You are a mammal living in dinosaur times.
Wow.
So looks
sounds
like
tough. That sounds tough.
That does sound tough. That does sound tough. Interested to see where everyone will take that. Seems like characters are, as far as it goes, a mammal in a first-person sort of view, maybe, or maybe not. Dinosaur Times is kind of setting, but not much of a plot for the authors. Where would you go with this?
I think it's a predator-prey situation.
A story of survival.
A story of survival. Yeah.
Interesting. That sounds like somewhere where you would take it for sure. And let's see if that's what happens for the authors. But otherwise, I think it's about time. Oh, but you know what? Actually, I did want to mention this. You know when the best time to write a story is, Greg?
Is it
right
when?
now?
It's right now.
Right now.
You have
After
19 hours.
You've got the creative juices flowing. You've just seen three great authors, what they've had.
It's fresh. Get it done.
Dude,
Get it done.
Write it down. Submit it before you go to bed. Have a great dream, or wake up frantic and try to get it in before the deadline. But just a thought I had today. But here's not a thought that I had. This is a thought Storybot had, and that's the top 5 sentences of the day.
Here we go.
One of Storybot's favorite things to do is pick out its favorite sentences. Number 5 from Green 18. When the sun rose the next morning and Mr. Whiskers pushed the go button on WeatherBot 3000, a storm surge was programmed in and a catastrophic lightning bolt hit the system and blew it into the stratosphere. So Storybot seems to like that WeatherBot reference, as well as that the kind of like saving the robot from being the evil thing, right? Rather blast off into space than be part of Mr. Whiskers.
The technology's neutral. It's the cat. The cats are evil.
The cat was evil, right? Number 4 from Champion. Bezos wanted to use the crows for one-day Prime delivery. Bill Gates wanted to make his lifelong passion project, flying toasters, come to life. So interesting story there from Champion about Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates conspiring to control the weather to get crows, but just didn't really come together. Number 3 from the Doctor. Well, now let's discuss that, Dr. Phil said, his drawl eclipsing the shining bald spot lit up by studio lights. Interesting wordplay there with
eclipsing a bald, the bald head in orbit,
shining, and his drawl just taken away from all of that. Interesting. Number 2 coming from Champion as well. Kings control people, popes control time, but no one controls the weather, and whoever controls the weather controls the crows. That's grade school stuff.
I'm shocked. Storybot didn't
that was the opening line from Champion, and Storybot liked it, but just couldn't tie it all together, unfortunately. Number 1 coming from Slice. Juan Butler can't predict the breaking news. Sharon Yen can't foresee puff pieces. Rusty Randall in sports is no soothsayer. Braves in 6. Come on. So
that was a lovely way to get the entire setting into one sentence. It was like a little panorama, like a sort of like pan.
Right, yeah. Moving around the room, looking at everybody, working hard day in and day out. And meanwhile, Tempest,
it's character, plot, and setting all in one sentence, and it pops. It's super. It's great. It's just great.
So, all right. Well, that wraps up another edition of Clash of the Pencils nightly live stream. Thank you all for joining us, and until next time, we'll see you out on the paper. Have a good night. Oh, I need to scroll up to click this thing. It's brutal. Did your favorite story of the night win? It didn't? That's weird. Did you vote? You didn't? Huh. I wonder if that could be related. Anyone can vote. You don't need a Clash of the Pencils account. Just head over to clash.storysquad.app. The link's in the description. Any Monday to Friday in the 2 hours before the live stream starts. Read the top 3 picks from Storybot 3000 and make your voice heard on who should win the NFT. Be a good citizen. Help overthrow the powers that be by voting, specifically in the Clash of the Pencils app every night.